This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel describes it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way maybe to say it is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us. And what we're going to do today in episode 123 of the Auburn Experience podcast, I'm back with you as well. My name's Kyle Loomis, your main host here and co-host, the reason that you actually come to the show and listen. And when you missed last week's episode, you probably were most disappointed getting to hear from him. Austin Scott, welcome back, sir.
War Eagle, Kyle, War Eagle to our listeners and viewers. Glad to be back. A nice little break. It's May and June, July, all coming up, so you never know when we might take a small hiatus as things get a little bit crazier. But nonetheless, glad to be back.
Yes, definitely a hiatus. We are going to have probably a few more of those things coming up here. My birthday, not that that's anything special or anything like that, coming up pretty soon. Getting older. And we'll have some things that we'll touch on. But we're here today. Certainly, let me address the I hate to use the phrase elephant in the room, especially with this topic. Just don't. Yeah. To use the reason why we missed last week. We're doing episode 123. We haven't skipped episodes, but we were not here last week. And that was a bit of a last minute decision on my part, not on Austin's part. Just kind of as a little bit of a tribute in a way and an explaining of what happened. Jessica and I, my wife, we lost a very special member of our family this week, which was our cat Lucy. Now, why are you doing this on Auburn Show? Well, first of all, I'm being just indulgent to myself here and helping me deal with the grieving process of all of this. But many of you will know her as Podcat. She was a very common presence throughout a lot of our early podcasts. In fact, the very first times, like on Facebook Live, that I ever started doing some video things, she made appearances and became known as Podcat. So Lucy, or Lucy Fur Loomis, as we sometimes affectionately dubbed her with her attitude or catitude at times, she passed away this week. And we're a little bit shocked by it still, a little bit, still trying to gather the pieces back together. It was very unexpected, but at the same time, no less love, no less specialness. And since she was part of the beginnings of E2C Network and known as Podcat, we wanted to give her a little bit of tribute tonight to say goodbye to my special friend. And for some of you out there that may have known her or seen her pop up on a live stream in a very grainy format, because that was back in the day. That's all we were able to do. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Some of you reached out, and we do appreciate that have seen our post and things like that. But goodbye to our special little Lucy and our little Podcat, and we appreciated so much and loved her so much during her time here with us. Let's move on to things that are a little bit more Auburn related and things that aren't as emotional here. I don't know. This could be an emotional thing because we're saying goodbye to something else here. Bo Bikes Bama. Let's start there. And now, how is this Auburn related? We're talking about Bo Jackson. For those of you that know, Bo Jackson has done an initiative to raise funds, awareness after the tragic tornado events that occurred 14 years ago, Austin, wasn't it? Like something like that I think this is dating back for him. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I've got my dates correct, but I think it was like 14 years ago that the tornado events happened and what made him bring his awareness and his thing back. We may have lost Austin actually with the internet, because he looks so shocked that we are talking about this right now. Are you there, Austin?
It's very strange. That's never happened to me before. I will say, and while we're just already starting off here on a great note, some dummy in our house accidentally hit our internet wire with a shovel this week.
Did you really?
I said some dummy. I did not say that it was me. It was me.
Yes, it was you.
But it's been repaired and nothing else has been affected until now. And so I'm just a little concerned. I'm on my hotspot on my phone now. So
I think we got it under control.
Okay.
Do you even remember what we were talking about?
I know that we were talking about Bo Bikes Bama, and you asked me how long ago. And I think it was 2011.
2011. So it'd be like we're 13, 14 years ago, something like that. Yeah. So it's
Yes.
been a long time coming for Bo Bikes Bama. And I always obviously ask the question a lot, how long would he keep doing this? Bo Jackson is just a hero of all of ours. And he just seems like he never ages, always be able to do those miraculous things. But I wonder if part of that's playing into why he's ending that. Maybe the interest is a little bit lower these days, but it's been a long time that Bo, Auburn's, most well-known alumni, has been doing this not just for Auburn people, but for Alabama fan people, for the state of Alabama, raising awareness, raising funds for those who've been victims of terrible weather incidents that have happened everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's been a great initiative for him. Was one of those things that was announced really early after the Tuscaloosa tornadoes back in 2011. And so, sad to see it go. I don't think this has any indication of Bo stopping his philanthropic efforts or for trying to help the people of Alabama, just maybe doing something a little bit different that doesn't require the greatest athlete of all time to continue to exert his physical body nature. So we'll see what's in store for it, but certainly a great run.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to acknowledge that because I've actually had the opportunity to see the race go by a few times. In fact, one year I was there and forgot it was happening and just happened to be at an intersection where Bo comes flying by with the front runners of Bo Bikes Bama through Auburn. I think it was right there at the corner of wherever where the practice football field is now, the new one. And I just remember seeing Bo fly by uphill, and I was like, that man just never ages. That man just never he doesn't have any speed except full speed. But that's Bo Jackson. We thank him for doing that great event for so many years, raising help for those in need because of those terrible storms, and many that have still happened even since then. Let's keep moving along in some Auburn related stories. We got a little bit of news this week in the academic realm, but it's definitely a nostalgia realm for folks too. The College of Education has officially started moving in, it appears, to their new building, which means that this past week they'd had their last week or what days of classes in their headquarters, which was formerly the Haley Center. And I think some people are starting to think already, what does that mean for the future of Haley Center? But interesting that they would move in the middle of a semester over there. I guess it's technically almost done. I guess finals is up this week, but how does that make you feel? Are you getting worried for our Haley Center? Are you just happy for the education department? Where are you at on this?
Yeah, either way. I mean, the education building up there by the Hill dormitories has been being built for a year and a half now. A really big facility. Looks really beautiful from the outside. I haven't gotten to go in yet, but so we've known this is coming. But the last week of classes of the semester was this past week, and they announced this was their last week of classes in the Haley Center. So I'm sure there'll be some finals taken in Haley this week, and then summer semester they will have classes in the brand new education building. So I'm sure that's very exciting for a lot of people that teach in the education department and whatnot. I don't think, I think there's some people who think Haley is probably gone and this is the beginning of the end. We've talked about on this very show about how there's a big old renovation of the bookstore in the bottom of it.
Yep.
So I don't think that it's going anywhere anytime soon, just probably repurposed. People moving out, this probably gives an opportunity to kind of do some renovations, refurbishments of their own in Haley. I don't think whether you would like it to be or not, or whether you would be sad it's going, I don't think Haley Center is heading anywhere in the near future.
Yeah, I get the sense that for that beautiful monstrosity of a building to come down, there's going to have to be significant amount of work in that area. That's just going to require, it's going to have to make sense. We do know, obviously, with the renovation of the bookstore. And by the way, I could see in there this past week when I stopped through Auburn, a little bit inside, kind of it's very gutted. Open. It's gutted, very open now. So I'm excited to see what that's going to look like later this summer when it comes out. But yeah, I think every time we hear something about the Haley Center, this sparks up. Is it going to go away? And there's going to be a debate. There's going to be people that say, should Haley go away? It's so old. It's so monstrosity. It's just a monstrosity at times. There's still people lost in there from the 1970s. And I've run into them a couple times to try to help them out, but they still get lost in there.
That's right.
I don't know. It's one of those things that I think we are all going to have that sticker shock one day when the paper's like, oh, we're done. Haley Center's coming down. But for now, it lives on because the Education building just won't be there. Philosophy, as I struggle to say, might still philosophy. Whatever classes are left can go in there, or I'm sure something else will need to be planted into one of those giant, enormous quadrants that is still available for those to use. But we'll keep honoring and thinking about our Haley Center as long as we have it here right now. We're missing a lot of Auburn topics from the last week, and so we're probably going to skip over a bunch of different things. And this is a very hodgepodge Auburn potpourri, which is probably a good thing. Part of the reason that we were in Auburn this week was the tragedy of losing our family pet, and we just needed to get away in a very unexpected manner. Jessica and I actually took the opportunity just to kind of take a little trip to Auburn and do some unexpected Auburn things. Let me ask you this, Austin. Have you ever stayed at the Auburn University Hotel?
I have not.
Have you ever wanted to?
Yeah. I don't really know when that opportunity will arise, but or necessary desire, but
because you live there, I get it. Yeah. Maybe we're praying that Austin never gets to move away from Auburn, but obviously we don't know where life takes us. But maybe then that presents it, or if you just want to do something special. Let me just tell you this, though.
There's plenty of hotels to choose from, that's for sure.
Oh, gosh. And, that's a whole nother thing we can't get into it. No. It's good and bad. Let me just tell you. The options are great. Prices. Anyway.
Yeah.
We splurged and we went to the Auburn University Hotel, which, by the way, is not the most expensive hotel that you could go to in downtown Auburn. It is actually going to be more like the Laurel, which is next door.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Don't look at those if you don't want to have sticker shock. But I'm just going to tell you this, folks. I think everybody needs to go stay there one night. I loved it. I mean, they couldn't have made our difficult time that we were going through any better. They just, we just got there and they had rooms available, but they put us in a room facing essentially from if you're in the building, the left side of the building, but directly looking through the trees, Sanford Hall Tower. We could see it just in its beautiful silhouette at night. In the rooms, they have, at least the ones we were in, they had this, I want to call it a mural, just like this old black and white image of the town of Auburn and what it used to look like on that map back in the day. You'd be surprised, Austin. It wasn't so overly Auburn that as you thought it might be, but it was very tastefully done. Down the hallways are just, you want to talk about this show, the Auburn Experience, where we try to cover everything. They got it covered there.
Oh yeah.
In the hallways of go into the rooms, there's images, of course, bow over the top, but then there's the first African-American student that came to Auburn there, celebrating that accomplishment and that milestone in that time period. There is the band at one point at the United States Capitol playing. There's this moment in history in the town, not even anything related to the university. They do such a good job of capturing the Auburn experience. I don't know how, Austin, but you need to find a way to get in there because you have a key card to get up into the elevators and to go up there just to walk the halls and take in the experience of it all.
I like it. That sounds like something fun. I've never stayed there. I've heard very good things about it, and up until the Laurel, which I think the Auburn University Hotel is still probably the official hotel of the university, but there's been added on now here. But I've heard very good things about it, and people. I've never heard a bad word about the stay there and also the aesthetic. So that's good to hear.
And if you want to feel like you're a recruit, there's a certain video that plays nonstop on one channel on there that welcomes you from a certain head coach. So, if you want to feel special for a minute, like that, you can go out there and suit them up for the Tigers. That's available for you there as well. Other thing that we got to do, and last thing before we move to our major topics, is I'm going to give a shout out to women's tennis, who's been having quite the year under first year head coach Zabo. And I was out there for their senior match. I almost said game, senior match, saw that win there and everything. But we got the chance to go and watch them take on Wisconsin in essentially the round of 32. It's kind of like baseball. You've got your regionals and your super regionals, but it's essentially still the round of 32, the Sweet 16, on and on. They won. And I tell you this, folks, I know a lot of you roll your eyes when I'm trying to get you to go to a tennis match. You need to just be ready for it to ramp up at any moment, because big thing is you win the doubles point, which they did. That sets you up really nicely. All you got to do is win 3 of the 6 single matches, and you've got the victory to move on, either win or move on in the tournament that they're particularly in. So Austin, we're there. And I'm just thinking, well, we actually might need to leave because I don't think we can stay that long. But all of a sudden, there comes 1 point, 2 point, 3 points, and we're 1 point away from winning this thing. And it's coming down to these 2 final matches that are about to end, but neither one's wanting to give up. So I don't know if you've ever been out there yet to the Arbor, Tennessee.
Once in college.
Once.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, folks, you need to get out there and watch a college tennis match. There's a lot of energy. It was a beautiful day in Auburn.
That's cool.
As well. And they got to move on, which is great. So congratulations to them. And I'm so happy that we got to be there despite the circumstances that we were there. Is there anything else, Austin, as I'm trying to ramble through things in the Auburn potpourri experience that we should mention before we move on?
Yeah, I'm trying to think too. I'm sure we'll hit on it more next week, with graduation being the predominantly next weekend, but last week of finals, so there'll be plenty of midnight staying up this week, and we always end up seeing the donuts and the orange juice delivered sometimes by special guests in the library or the student center. So good luck to all our students. Good luck to all our seniors who are trying to get through one last finals week, and it's almost over. You're either about to be in summer or you're about to be in the Auburn alumni family. So good luck.
Yeah. I even thought about this too, Austin. I kind of put myself, and Jessica and I both did as we were there. It was like, Friday was kind of like that marker of this is crunch time. We start getting that last minute studying in. You're making your plans, where you're going to be studying, who you're going to be studying with. Right. And it put us back in that mode. It was kind of a nice little getaway for us to remind ourselves of what that was like. The anxiety of it all. Yes, but sometimes the fun antics that came out of when you're so delirious from studying that you end up, at a Waffle House eating Raisin Bran toast, because it's what got you through the week. So we didn't do that this weekend, but we did kind of live back through the moment. So good luck to the students in finals, whether you're graduating or just getting started. Make most of it because it'll be over before you know it. Let's move into major topics this evening. This is going to be one that we should have done a week ago. Again, we've already addressed that I was out last week. But I think it's important for us to talk about our people as they move on, not just talk about them while they're here, but moving on to their next phase. And we're talking about Auburn in the NFL, the NFL draft, the NFL processes, the free agency, all that stuff. We're probably going to miss things because there was a lot that happened across the wholeness of that NFL draft, free agency signing period, and some interesting, I think, correlations there as well. Can I start off with this question for you first, Austin?
Please.
Given where Auburn football is currently at, do you think the 3 that win in the draft is fair? Did they underperform? Did they overperform? Are we just about right? Just kind of a ballpark of where you assess the 3 that were taken in the draft and where they were. Are we about where we should be at this point?
Yeah, I think we're probably about where you think you are at this point. I think you could make a case for a couple more could have been drafted, should have been drafted. But I think that, when you look at the 3 that were there, those were probably your 3 that feel the most secure or guarantees that you felt like were going to get drafted. Yep. Certainly some surprises that weren't, but I think that's about where the Auburn program's at. Now, the fact that it took till day 3 for all 3 of them, I think not that the NFL draft is an indication of the sole indication of where your football program is at. I think people put a little too much stock into that sometimes. But certainly it's a factor of if you're producing guys, but we've talked about it the whole entire NFL draft process, the fit of teams, and there's so many off the field measures that you're looking at as well when you're drafting. But I think 3 guys for Auburn, 3 quality guys in Jarquez Hunter, Jalen McLeod, and Keandre Lambert-Smith all end up in good places, all end up taken in the NFL draft. It makes about that much sense to me, but I think we're on a strong point where that trajectory is going to continue to get higher and higher. The more talent that we've seen on the recruiting trail as they continue to progress through college and then ultimately try and make their own professional careers.
I was very happy to see Jarquez Hunter go to the Rams. I have a personal affinity to the Rams because while I've never had a major NFL affiliation, I grew up as a Packer fan because I've got family there. and I still have an affinity towards them, but it's not a big thing. But I kind of chose the Rams back on the Greatest Show on Turf. So like when Trey Mason got drafted by them, I was stoked, and he had a great first season. But we can get into why all that happened, transpire. Jarquez finding his way there makes me very happy. Les Snead, who is their GM, I believe, with his Auburn connections, it just continues to find its way to draft Auburn people. And I know we're biased, Austin, but I just got to think the person, the team, the organization that drafted Jarquez Hunter was going to find themselves a diamond in the rough. It would not shock me if he starts playing by the end of the season in some significant, maybe like a Tank Bigsby style of story. You think,
Yeah, well, and I think Tank, it looks like it's taken him a couple years to get in there and kind of overtake some playing time, but now it looks like he might be the starting guy for the Jaguars. So I could definitely see a similar story for Jarquez Hunter. I think that there's even less of I don't want to say talent, but less of a threat to him as a starting role in that running back room in LA. I think they're trying to figure out kind of where things are, who they have. They certainly have some guys, but don't have a high profile guy at the moment. So Jarquez Hunter definitely has an opportunity there. And I love that fit for him because I think he deserves an opportunity to show that he's a hard worker and can do well for a program who's, won a Super Bowl very recently and has a great coaching staff, great administration. Of course, you mentioned Les Snead, the Auburn alum, heading it up. So I love that spot for him. If I'm looking at the three that were drafted, I think he's in the best situation for him and to see playing time and success early. So I think it's a toss-up with Keandre Lambert-Smith. I think that he also is in a very good situation, but I think because of what's already Jarquez Hunter is already walking into, I think him and the Rams is a great fit.
Definitely. I do like that Keandre is going to be with Justin Herbert, who's, I mean, I know he's not the best quarterback in the NFL, but he's not a bad one either. So he's got someone that's going to be giving him a good opportunity. And we've seen what Keandre can do when you just put the ball in his vicinity. And I think people are going to find that he proved it at Penn State. He proved it at Auburn. I think the trajectory shows that when given the opportunity, he can show he deserves playing time in the NFL as well. Jalen McLeod also gets drafted. And it was 4, 5, and 6. So nobody in the 7th round. And, there's always that discussion. Is it really worth going in the 7th round? So we didn't have to worry about that, which is good. So congratulations to all three of them for being our representatives. Jalen going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which I know makes Clint Richardson very happy. There's an odd number of Auburn fans that are Jaguar fans. As they're glutton for punishment.
One of my best friends. Yep.
I can't understand it for the life.
It's an interesting duo.
It's a combo maybe made in heaven just because of the Auburn experience sometimes, but there's that. Okay, we've got a lot in signings, and we can come back and talk about any of those guys if we need to. We haven't covered anything, but let me give you the rundown, and I think Austin will need to fill in maybe one at the end that I'm missing if I can't remember him. And this is no particular order. It's just what we were sharing on social media at the time. Jason Jones to the Baltimore Ravens. Eugene Asante, probably want to talk about that one, to the Miami Dolphins. We've got Peyton Thorne to the Cincinnati Bengals. Oscar Chapman, that's probably a good one too, to the Minnesota Vikings. You're going to hear that as a common thread. And also the Tennessee Titans get Isaiah Rakes. Rivaldo Fairweather to the Dallas Cowboys. I really like that for some reason. He feels like a Cowboy to me. Austin Keys to the Vikings. Dorian Mausi to the Vikings. Robert Lewis to the Vikings. Jaron Thompson to the Tennessee Titans. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Philip Bleedy went to the Titans as well. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I think so, yep.
Luke Deal got a mini camp invite or something as well. Is there anybody else that I'm missing from that list?
I think that's the group. No one stands out at the moment that you might be missing. But lots. Those came through quick, right after the draft.
And that's funny, right? Because I thought we might have some delays on a lot of those that we wouldn't get to talk about last week if we had been doing this episode a week ago. But they started rolling in quick, especially, let's just talk about it. What's up with the Vikings? Are they trying to make up for getting rid of Carlson so many years ago? Or whoever they got rid of at this point? Our one of our good friends here on the show, Brian, who's in the Great White North, he always talks and jokes about their pain still for getting rid of him. Are they trying to make up for it?
I don't know. That's hard to believe how long that's been since then, but whatever the administration is up there now and the coaching staff, they seem to love what they saw from a few individuals on the Plains this year. I really like the Oscar Chapman move there.
Yeah.
We want the very best for a lot of these guys, and we know that they're hardworking guys, and we hope that they have a chance to make the team and succeed. Just the reality of it is that a lot of these invites are extensions of tryouts, basically. But for special teams guys like Oscar and others, you know, there's less spots, less guys you got to beat out to get to make the team, and so you know you hope that maybe that's a more what's my word here, more possible optimistic situation for him. So I really like that I really like that opportunity for Oscar. I think that could be a match there. And then, you know, you mentioned the two of the ones that I was really interested in too. I think Rivaldo Fairweather is going to make the camp for the Dallas Cowboys. I do too. Something about that just seems to fit.
It just popped off the screen. I said, Dallas Cowboys, Rivaldo Fairweather. I like that a lot.
Well, and the Dallas Cowboys are the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like they're going to pop. Everybody knows the Dallas Cowboys, and for better or for worse. And so, but I don't know, something about that and his frame, his stature just seems to, that might be a feel good story. If he comes out of that. And then Eugene Asante, that's one of the ones I had in mind when I said, are there some that should have gotten drafted?
Let's just talk about it. Is it
just shocks me.
Come on. I mean, you have got the best like prototype of a safe pick that you could have. He is an incredible athlete. He has gotten better each and every year up to all SEC level. This kid will do whatever you ask of him. And by all accounts, from everything that we've seen, he is the most well-rounded, likable leadership guy that you could have. Even if you're just putting him on special teams, which, I mean, maybe that's why, if that's way he get drafted, you got to give this guy a solid look. I think he was on some people's boards the second Auburn Tiger that was supposed to come off, and he doesn't get drafted. Now I'm thankful he didn't go in the 7th round, but I was very disappointed by this one, Austin.
I was too. It shocked me a lot. I'm like you. I thought he would have been nothing against Jalen McLeod or anyone else, but I thought he would have been Auburn's first defensive guy off the board. I would have figured he killed it in certain interviews. Obviously he has an athletic ability that's off the charts, but a work ethic and a personality that translates well. So Miami might have gotten really lucky. And if we know anything about Eugene Asante, he's going to work, and we'll see. He'll make some teams pay for not taking him. So we'll see. I hope all these guys make their teams. I love seeing our guys at the next level. It's more fun to watch Auburn guys when the NFL rolls around. And so I hope that the best for all of them.
Absolutely. I mean, we're excited, but whether you're a Minnesota fan, you've got a lot of reasons to be excited for potential for Auburn there. Tennessee as well has got several with Riggs, Eugene, Bleedy being there. One last thing that I'd like to mention, and this is just, Austin may not even want to go this way with it, but I'm going to bring it up. And I like to try to hold our Auburn family accountable. Some of you are just awful human beings. I'm just going to say it right here in the camera. Boy. Listen, I'm hurting a little bit this week from non-related things, and I'm not pulling punches essentially at this point. The amount of people that dog Peyton Thorne for getting an invite and on social media, some of y'all are just despicable human beings. I mean, y'all will in one sense go celebrate Rivaldo Fairweather, who we celebrated just here a second ago. Please hear me on this. But, you know, he didn't have a great year. He actually underperformed by his own words a lot. This is not me assessing him. This is his assessment of himself. I saw in post-game interviews. So y'all will in one set, like they followed each other. This is why I'm using this example. We'll just be praising this kid. But because Peyton Thorne wasn't the quarterback you would, because he got an opportunity to go try out somewhere, you want to sit there and dog him in that. So can I just, folks, it ain't that serious. It ain't that deep. Celebrate them all. If you didn't like them, let them be. Okay? I was having a rough week for unrelated things, and I was looking to fight for Peyton Thorne once again. I did not think I'd be sitting there this week doing that. So I want to congratulate Peyton Thorne on making everybody kiss it and getting an NFL contract, because all you little bozos are now blocked. None of y'all are getting an invite. Anyway, okay, I'm done. Sorry. Anything else on the NFL front? Sorry, go ahead.
Peyton Thorne likes being a Tiger, so he's going to be a Bengal now. So
Way to tie that together.
Good for him. I'm going to drop the mic there.
Tie that one there before I get myself in any more trouble and overly emotional about things this week. But anyway, whether you were drafted, whether you got a free agent deal, a mini camp invite, whatever, Auburn Tigers are built for work, hard work. Get out there, show those teams you deserve to be there. We have seen people who have been top picks be the biggest bust. We have seen those who got mini camp invites find starting roles. If you need no further of an example of that, I would point you to Jamian Sherwood, who I think was drafted, but still not a lot of people expected that. And now he's a starting linebacker, when previously a safety linebacker for the New York Jets. Do not give up. Get out there, work out, and we'll be excited to see you all out there on NFL Sundays or in other spring leagues that are out there, because that's still surviving.
That's right. Go Stallions. Giddy up, baby.
And here we go. We switched to the UFL. Is that what it is now?
UFL, correct. You got it.
I'm trying to stay up to date with all this stuff, but it is just
repeat champs, baby.
There we go.
Giddy up.
Yeah. There it is. That's it. That's the end of our NFL or NFL breakdown from the draft and otherwise. Let's move into our next major topic and last one for this episode. It's going to be a lot packed in here because of missing last week. We got to do a spring Diamond Sports update, baseball and softball, and it has been a good 2 weeks. And let's be honest,
it sure has.
It felt like, especially for softball, but sometimes baseball too, because of who they're having to play. We were having a great week, and then we got swept, or just a little bit of a letdown. But then we could bounce back. So it kind of was in this nice thing for you and I, where we could take a week off and cover another major topic. But we're moving into a time now where it's getting pretty fun to talk about both of these multiple times a week. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into it. Let's start with softball, and then we can dive into some baseball stuff to round out. Obviously, they won the series with South Carolina. I mean, if you've got something that you want to talk about from that, we certainly can. But I think obviously this weekend was the more major story, with all of the weather that came through and just wreaked havoc, not just at Auburn, but across the Southeast. I mean, baseball was affected by it too. They only get to play 2 of their final 3 games versus NC State, by the way. Did that throw you off?
Really weird.
A non-conference series.
Really weird.
It's
like a tune-up, I guess, but like NC State hasn't qualified for the ACC tournament, so they're just like, all this rain delays. They're like, can we just get out of here? Like, they're like, this is just terrible. Yeah, really strange. The only thing I'll say about the South Carolina series is it's another SEC series.
Yes, thank you.
And just that, it took this team a little bit to get over the hump of figuring out how to do that. But they're building some momentum now. We'll talk about the SEC tournament in Athens here in a minute. They'll be the 15 seed, which Vanderbilt doesn't have a softball team. So you do the math. That is last. But they dug themselves such a big hole. That 15 seed, if you look at it by itself, just really doesn't tell the whole story of where the momentum was with this team in the SEC play. So I think they're moving in a really good direction. Pitching is going really well. I cannot remember her full name, and it's going to kill me, but she's up to 20 wins on the year. 20 wins.
S.J. Guerin?
Yes, S.J. Guerin. I could not remember her initials. S.J. Guerin is up to 20 wins on the year, which is pretty amazing when you think about what this team has had to do this year. So I'm really excited for the softball tournament. I think they can have the chance to surprise some people. But you want to talk about this weekend. We'll talk about postseason here in just a second.
Well, no, that's fine. So 2 wins. So the second game was canceled, as you said. NC State's probably like, please, can we just get I know y'all got to do your senior day. Senior day, honoring the seniors. You got to make sure that happens. But the 2 games they do play, Auburn wins in 6 innings, and both of them 8-0. So just poor NC State. They didn't want to be there at all. Just got beat up on a little bit. But helping the confidence of this Auburn softball team, as you said, needing that maybe a little bit because of how they started in SEC play and where they're going to have to start in the tournament. Obviously, you mentioned SJ. You got Anna Leah Adams, Anna Leah, I think is how you pronounce it, who is just doing dynamite right now. We all know KK McCrary and how she just at any second will just do a walk-off home run. I mean, it's really been fun to watch this team not fall apart because of how things started. are the results necessarily there? And when you look at the SEC tournament placement, not really, but I think this team has showed you that you better watch out for them in that 15 slot in the SEC tournament. They might find a way to embarrass you if you're not taking them seriously. So with that in mind, let me give you just a brief rundown. Austin already previewed it a little bit of what you've got coming up here for SEC softball action, mainly pertaining to Auburn. Now, for those of us that lamented that Auburn and Alabama did not see each other in regular season competition,
so strange.
What are we doing, folks? Like, are we trying to not make money? You put Auburn and Alabama together, you make money. That's how this thing works. Come on, SEC.
They did it.
Well, they did it. I guess they plan on doing this all along somehow. They found a way to make it work. Auburn versus Alabama, 15 seed Auburn, 10 seed Alabama in the first game or the last game of that day, but in the first round of the SEC tournament. And it's interesting too, Austin, looking at the bracket. It's so differently shaped now with Texas and Oklahoma.
Very different.
There. It's going to take and when you only have 15 teams, it's going to take a lot to get used to this new look for that. Iron Bowl, first game. What you think?
Yeah, it's really weird that in the year they don't play regular season that they are matched up in the first round. Always kind of strange when you've got a one game advance or go home play in against basically the SEC, a team you haven't played all year, but in your conference. Obviously Auburn's familiar with the rivalry. It'll be the Malveau's first time playing Alabama. But like you said, I don't think this 15 seed really shows exactly where this team is right now. So I think it's going to be a really evenly matched game, truthfully. And I think the pitching will be the thing to watch. I think both have elite pitching, and so it'll be really fun to see how this first game goes. What time will that be on the day?
So,
I know it's the last, relatively, what time will it be?
So the games are being played in Athens, Georgia. So it'll be Eastern time, I believe, on the sheet. So it says
torture to play Alabama in Athens, Georgia.
It's just the worst. It's like, how can we make this most difficult on Auburn?
Like, let's just throw up twice at the same time.
And watch a comet hit us in the face all at the same time.
Exactly.
1 p.m. is the first game, and then it says 35 minutes following game one. The next one, and then Auburn's would be 35 minutes after that. So just depending on how long it takes, you're probably looking, I would guess, in the 6 to 7, maybe 8 o'clock, somewhere in that range.
Yep.
If we're lucky, if things go well. And maybe there's just a bunch of blowouts at the beginning of it. But here's the thing. So let's just play devil's advocate. They can, first meeting of them this year, Auburn wins, shocks everybody. You're going to face South Carolina, who you just took the series from, and was pretty eye-opening to a lot of people that, hey, this team may not be as bad as advertised. And then necessarily after that, when you get into the quarterfinals, you're having to take on Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is on your side of the bracket. It's going to get real tough after that, just being logical about this. But there's a pathway forward for Auburn softball here if they can get past Alabama, not playing them at all this year. They've proven they can do it against South Carolina. So I'm gonna step out on a limb here. I'm gonna channel the very first season for Coach Bruce Pearl. Yes, it's a different sport.
I was going to bring this up too. I was thinking that.
What do you think? What do you think
about that comparison? I was sitting here like, I'm going to bring this out, and he's going to be amazed.
No, I got me. I beat you to it. What do you think?
I was sitting here trying to make sure I got all the opponents right from that SEC tournament. No, yeah. I think that's a very good comparison. I think for those of you who are thinking Kyle and I read minds, and we're not voicing what we're talking about, Bruce Pearl's first SEC tournament with Casey Harrell. And the magical run they went on when I think they were they dead last?
They had to be close to it.
Close to it. And beat LSU.
LSU was the big one with the Casey Harrell.
I think it was Mississippi State, then Texas A&M, and then LSU
and
to play Kentucky in the semifinals.
Who ended up winning everything. So
correct. And so I could definitely see that. I think this team has that kind of Cinderella aura about them, and they could definitely. I don't want to do that. I work at a high school though, and so it just came to me. But I could definitely see the Cinderella vibe. Is that better?
That's better.
only a little bit. Cinderella vibe with this team and the momentum they're on. So that's a good pull, Kyle. That's a good pull because I was sitting here thinking the same thing.
I mean, I get wins every once in a while. Not many this
Sure.
week, but I get a win every once in a while. So that's your potential path forward. First year under the coach's Malvo. And listen, I was told by someone close enough to really speak to these types of things that said it could be a rough year, but don't sleep on this team. There could be some fireworks, and we've seen a little bit of that this year. So I'm excited to see what they potentially do.
Agreed.
Let's talk about baseball. A lot there. Again, similar to when we just discussed our 2-week catch up on softball, give you the rundown in a sense of what we've missed. Mississippi State series, Auburn wins that one. 2 out of the 3 games. It's kind of like talking about Coach Pearl in Tennessee now, the connections with Butch Thompson, and they kind of connect it back to Auburn football and LSU, where we get coaches fired apparently after you get your butt beat by Mississippi State head coach, no longer there after losing the series to Auburn in Auburn, which I thought was, I don't know what their situation is going on over there. I was just a little bit shocked. Maybe.
I'm with you. Let's not forget, I know it was his first year and different, players and all the things, but the only national championship in Mississippi State athletics history. It's weird to get fired a few years after, but this isn't the Mississippi State experience, so that's not for us to talk about, and that's for a odd Kurt and Buster at Mississippi State to sing their cowbells on the Mississippi State Experience podcast on Sunday nights.
Is that a thing? Is that actually a thing?
Just trying to put our names together in Starkville.
I don't know. Well, here, real quick, when Tennessee is available or Indiana is available for basketball, we always fear that Butch maybe get taken by Mississippi State. Which, hear me, folks, I recognize that's a possibility. But what do you think, Austin? I mean, are we at risk of that, or are we? Because to my knowledge, they have not named anybody yet.
Well, here's the thing, and I thought about it. I'm sure that is, I don't know. I'm sure that's being talked about. I don't know if it's being talked about by anyone with legitimate, say in the matter. But I thought of 2 things when that kind of was out there. Personally, and I recognize I'm wearing a big AU right here and Auburn on my head and always looking through orange and blue glasses. But to me, Butch Thompson has done enough at Auburn and even been at Auburn, even if he hasn't done enough, been there at Auburn long enough that I think most would associate him with Auburn more so than Mississippi State these days. I think that it's fair that the associations are still there because he had a lot of success there, was an assistant there, all the things. And then the second thing would be that John Cohen is here at Auburn. And not to say that the athletic director of Mississippi State is not as invested in baseball, but I think that they have probably a pretty good relationship and have for a while. But to now him be here at Auburn, I think there's probably even more incentive for him to stay with a good relationship with the athletic director. Obviously, all the renovations happening. I just don't see this as much of a possibility as maybe several years ago. But you never know. And, I don't know what Mississippi State might be looking for. Baseball is king over there. We all know that. Baseball is first, second, and third in success over there. And so I'm sure they'll be swinging high for the fences to get back to what they expect. But we're going to keep Butch Thompson. So I don't really feel too stepping out to say that Butch Thompson's staying at Auburn. But
I don't feel that's a step out at this time. I think the investment clearly has been there on his part and back to him. And I think it's very similar to Bruce Pearl. The match seems very good, but we'll see what obviously happens. Obviously, it's an honor if somebody wants your coach, but he is definitely warranted at least getting looks and eyes on him as a potential replacement at somebody else for it. But moving to this weekend, Auburn is definitely found its way back into the top 10 in some rankings, going to Knoxville, which has been lately very controversial because of antics of their players and coaches over several seasons. And listen, Tennessee has been, I know, but look, let's just give them the credit. They've been good. And with that comes some bragging rights and things like that. But then you become children. Auburn does win this series, although it is one of the wildest that we've had in a while with schedules. You got play 2 innings in the first game, and then it's suspended.
Half of an inning.
half of an inning, suspended to the next morning, and you start the game, then finish it. Auburn wins 6-1. You begin to play a game which Auburn had in hand for a long time, game 2 on that day, and 2 of 2 on the day too. But that has to get suspended for rain as well. When unfortunately,
as you go into extra innings,
right? But bottom of the ninth, Auburn has it, and they give up a home run, I think.
Yes.
And weren't able to close out in the bottom of the ninth. So they go forward. They finish that out today, the extra innings on Sunday, and they lose that one 4-5. But boy, do they come out and just send a message to Tennessee. Yeah, you got your little, come back on us. We're sending you home pack, or we're keeping you home and pouting. 8-1 in 7 innings. I'm assuming they agreed to play 7 innings.
Yes.
It wasn't like they quit or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. Which wouldn't have been surprising either, but.
All right. So here we sit, another SEC series win, a big one on the road against a ranked opponent. Thoughts about post series of all this? Where are we at with Auburn baseball? Anything from Tennessee that you want to talk about?
I mean, like you said, the Tennessee in baseball in this last few years has the name attraction, right? Like they've won a national championship. They get a lot of hype for the players they have and the wins and the home runs and all the things. They also get a lot of hype for acting like toddlers. And so I just, it feels really good to go up there and get a win, especially, so much of the talk, and we'll just talk briefly on it on Friday because it was just so absurd, the things on social media from those wearing the gaudy orange. But if you're not familiar with, which we are, it has been all over the place by now. The game was started. It was pouring down rain, like torrential downpour. But leading up to the start of first pitch, it is the home team's head coach decision to whether or not they want to start the game. Once first pitch happens, it is up to the 3 men in blue or black or whatever stripes they're wearing to be umpires and decide if this game should go
According
on
to
or
Tennessee,
not.
It was orange and blue stripes.
Well, that's fine, but I don't know how they could see because it was pouring down hard so much. But their high school jockey wanted to play the game, and so we got started. And Tennessee goes out there.
Thank you for tying the Kentucky Derby into this. That's awesome.
You're
I
welcome.
wasn't expecting
Thank you very much.
today.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We play the game. Tennessee throws their ace like anyone would do on a Friday night. Halfway through the first half of the inning, Ike Irish takes him yard. And there's a lot of people who want to question that home run, but through the pouring rain, it certainly made it out. 2-0 Auburn. In between the innings, when Auburn's Sam Dutton's about to take the mound, umpires say, "No, this is ridiculous. We're not playing this. This is done for the night." And Tennessee loses their minds because Tennessee has burned their ace pitcher, and Auburn gets to keep theirs. Well, you had every reason to act reasonable and not throw the kids out there in the monsoon, but you wanted to play the game and think. I need to stop. I'm rambling. Think and without passion. Okay.
You're more coherent and you have more of a leg to stand on than Tony Vitello, who what's his name? Tony Vitello, I got it right.
Tony Vitello, yes.
That runs out to every umpire. Listen, Butch Thompson is not one to do this a whole lot, so it's really special when he does it. But I would be upset if Butch didn't just go to the home plate umpire and plead his case, and maybe on the way out yelling something at the third, whatever base they're on, home or away, and yelling something. But this dude runs out to second base, and this, I know, is a different game we're talking about, and
yes,
just stop being a child.
That just goes to show the antics, and what Kyle's talking about was in the third game today. Of just being an absolute. I was watching the clip and I thought, am I looking at my phone or am I looking at my kids? I just really have no idea which tantrum I'm looking at today, because I think I've seen my 2-year-old do the exact same thing, and it's pitiful. But to see Auburn dominate in the first game, even though it be on Saturday, after all that, speaks a lot. Well worth it. Second game on Saturday, you hate they gave it up, but Tennessee's an admirable opponent. You expect to see them fight back in some way. Admirable? That is not what I meant to say.
We're good. Just keep going. Nobody was going to stop you. You're the one that stopped you on that. You're the one who
worthy opponent. Worthy opponent is what I'll go with. and you lose a heartbreaker to a team that's really good. And then today you come out and just send the message that we're here to stay. And now to move away from the series and kind of what this sets Auburn, I think Auburn's knocking on the door of a top 8 national seed.
Oh my gosh!
When you look at what last year was, that's just unfathomable to even think about. I think Auburn has done enough to host a regional, certainly.
Yes.
I think that they are not going to fall below the 16 seed number, which is what you have to be to host a regional. Should they advance from a regional, they would host. I think that they are flirting with the opportunity to host a super regional, which, correct me if I'm wrong, has not happened ever.
Oh no,
Clemson.
Actually,
I don't think it's happened.
We can go back and look, and somebody can.
Our producers backstage are checking on that for us right now.
Either way, the fact that I want to go back to what you said to round out.
Yeah.
The fact that we are sitting here talking about a regional host after last year and just the disappointment, the shock of how bad things turned out. I mean, it was shocking for the players, it was shocking for the fans, it was shocking for the coaches. This is wild, folks. We are in a position where Auburn to really choose its destiny. How much of a host do you want to be? You're in the NCAA tournament. You're not going to be missing out on the SEC tournament. All of these different things. If you have ever doubted Butch Thompson, and look, we've had some fans that have come on shows before in the comments that have you can come share your opinions. I hope you come prepared to support those opinions. We had somebody last year, can't remember his name, that tried to say that Butch Thompson need to be let go. How's it look now, buddy? I mean, come on.
Don't come on this show. I'll have a problem.
Yeah, I will be nice to you. Austin will not.
I will not. I will not.
Anyway,
I will go all Tony Vitello on you.
Well, hopefully you'll not act that bad. But any research done to round out before we go?
I'm not doing a very good job of researching. I don't think that I know there's a lot of people saying they've made super regionals. I know that, but I don't think Auburn's ever hosted a super regional. I think back in the days when we used to do a little round robin of all the E2C Network hosts, and we would put in some predictions. I cannot remember who picked Daniel Carson win the Heisman, but that was a great show.
Sounds like Clint.
That I think it might have been. I think I picked Auburn to host their very first super regional, and they haven't hosted one since then. So I want to say that that's true. Someone can correct me on that, but regardless, they're flirting with the chance to do so. Now you still got to win, and you got to get there, win your regional, and however it all works out. But what a turnaround for Butch Thompson and this team. So many freshmen contributing. This team's really, really fun. Kyle, do you have the schedule in front of you? Can you tell me what we got coming up this week?
So what we have coming out, so what you can look forward to, what you need to be watching for is no midweek game this week. You have South Carolina at
because of finals.
Because of finals at home. That will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it's not your Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing.
Yep.
Just remember all these things that kind of collide all at this time. Tuesday, your final midweek game versus Jacksonville State. Do not sleep on that.
Nope.
And then you've got at Ole Miss. Tough way to end. At Swayze.
Yeah,
is it really Swayze Field?
It is Swayze Field.
After Patrick Swayze.
I don't think it's Patrick, but it's someone else named Swayze.
Anyway, there you go. That's how we end this thing. That's the pathway to this. We're certainly going to be talking about it here on E2C Network as we wind down the year with Auburn baseball. You and I began predicting that Auburn could make the tournament as probably a 2 seed is what I think you and I both said.
Happy to be wrong.
And so happy to be wrong here. That's the reason the predictions are really, you can't, at the early part of the season, you can't really put any stock in them. And I think you and I are very happy here with the way things have turned out for Auburn baseball. That's going to do it for episode 123 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Once again, I want to thank you all for not only here on this show, but on our content, which I know has been very lacking for about a week and a half now, as my wife and I dealt with the very shocking passing of our very beloved little Lucy, our cat here, who also was known as Podcat back to the very early days of what E2C Network was. So many of you may actually remember all of that when she made appearances on that. If you want to keep up with me, please do so on X at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on X, Instagram. Certainly understand, Kyle, and happy to have you back. And definitely look forward to more episodes for us in the future. But totally understand you taking a break, and we're happy that you got to do so.
Well, we appreciate that. Appreciate you all for being here tonight. Episode 123 in the books. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.